The driver of a stolen car crashes and abandons the wounded passenger inside.
Yeah, that passenger was trapped dozens of feet off the ground in some trees at the corner of Hoover and Lilac Avenues in Dayton. That's where ABC 22's Amber Watson is right now with more on how this whole thing went down. Amber, good morning.
Good morning, and that 18-year-old is still in the hospital. At last check, she still had serious injuries. Now, when fire crews arrived here, they found that stolen car stuck high in the trees several feet off the ground. Now, that man driving the car was able to escape, but police say his girlfriend was trapped for some time. And this all started when officers spotted the stolen car in a drive-thru at the intersection of Hoover and Gettysburg. And when officers made an attempt to stop that car, the driver took off at a high rate of speed. Now, as the car came down Hoover and Lilac, the driver hit a pole, launching the car into the air. It then flipped several times, landing in the woods. The car was wedged in between trees and underbrush, and it presented a huge challenge for crews as they try to get that woman out.
But the challenges were the stability of the vehicle with the trees and so forth. So we had to do considerable shoring and stabilizing of the vehicle before we could even approach and begin the extrication.
And this was a very dangerous rescue for firefighters. They had to use their own equipment to stabilize that car. And police say they briefly spoke to the woman. Right now, they do believe they know who that driver is, but they're still trying to confirm that information. And a pistol was found in that car once they removed it from this field. But police say that car was reported stolen about a month ago, and police have made several attempts to stop that driver in the past few weeks without much success. But the driver is still on the run this morning. And the next half hour, I'll tell you what some witnesses say they saw that led up to this crash, and also why there is now a thorough investigation by Internal Affairs. Reporting live in Dayton, Amber Watson, ABC 22 News.
New this morning, the driver of a stolen car crashes his vehicle and then abandons the wounded passenger inside.
Yeah, that wreck happened about 1 o'clock this morning at Hoover and Lilac Avenues. ABC 22's Amber Watson is on the scene. And Amber, the woman that was trapped in the car, do we know how she is this morning?
At last check, she's still listed in serious condition, that 18-year-old. And now that the sun is coming out, you can take a closer look at some of this damage. And in that field, you can see where that car was. Those tree limbs are still just kind of broken in half. And the man who was driving this car was able to escape, but police say that his girlfriend was trapped for some time. And it all started when the officers spotted that stolen car in a drive-thru at the intersection of Hoover and Gettysburg. Now, when officers made an attempt to stop that car, the driver took off at a high rate of speed. And as the car came down Hoover and Lilac, that's when that driver lost control, hit a pole, launching his car into the air. It then flipped several times, landing in the woods. That car was wedged in between the trees and underbrush, and that presented a huge challenge for crews as they try to get that trapped woman out. But several people were here when they witnessed that crash, and they say that there were officers who were chasing that man.
There were several witnesses to the crash who said that they saw cruisers near the vehicle as it was traveling at a high rate of speed on Hoover. Because of those witnesses, we've called out investigators.
Now, at this time, police do not believe that officers were pursuing that vehicle, but this morning investigators will review that cruiser video to learn more about what happened. And police say that car was reported stolen about a month ago, and police have made several attempts to try to stop that driver in the past few weeks. But after the car was removed from this field, officers found a gun inside that car. Again, that 18-year-old is still being treated for serious injuries. Police briefly spoke to that woman. They do have an idea of who was behind the wheel, but they're still waiting to get that information confirmed. But over the next half hour, I'll tell you more about that rescue attempt and what firefighters had to do to get that woman out of the car. Reporting live in Dayton, Amber Watson, ABC 22 News.